Gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to Project Squirrel. Something a little bit different this week. Going to be a bit of a tricky one to film. So it'll be a short video and I'm using my phone instead of the old potato that I normally use to film on. So quality may be better, but also may be a bit more shaky. Because I don't have a gimbal or anything flash like that. So, a couple of weeks off again. Had some household duties to take care of, so I haven't been able to get down here as much as I wanted to because we're getting very close to putting the engine in the frame. This week we're going to put the distributor back in and set the spark timing. Now for those who've been playing along at home, may remember quite some time ago when I put the crankshafts in, I put some TDC marks on it. If I were to point, I'd point down to the bottom right of your picture where you can see the front crankshaft with a vivid mark on it. That's giving me a top dead center, TDC reference point. Scan in, drop it on. Important to know when you're doing this, because it's a 4-stroke, whether you're on the top dead center on the compression stroke or the exhaust stroke. So when I was putting the top end together a couple of weeks back, I made sure that I'd set it up on compression stroke, because otherwise your distributor will be 180 degrees out and you'll get flames coming out the bits that shouldn't and fumes going out the bits that also shouldn't, and it won't run. Right, distributor. Very much like an old car distributor. It's actually an old Lucas model. Here we are here. And I think it is the same, or very close to the same, of what was fitted to the likes of a Mori Thayer or something of those ilk. So we're going to put it in it fits in the back of the engine, it's driven off the dynamo gear. As you can see, it's got a gear drive. Now we want it firing on number 1 cylinder, so if we can see that, rotor cap, I'm hoping it's going to be about right, so it's lined up with number 1 once the gear goes in and it rotates a little bit. So we'll push him down the hole, gently, gently. Swap hands because we can. Oh, that's slotted in. So we have a locating bolt at the front of the distributor, which we'll just put in. On the other side of the distributor, I'll try and turn you around here. Here we go. So we've got another bolt goes through here, just clamps up that clamp and allows us to rotate the distributor. So what we want to have here, zoom in, is we want the points to just open. It's going to be about there. And we want to know a little bit more accurately than that, and I should step back a bit. The ignition timing on the Mark II Square 4 is 0 degrees at top dead center, so kind of unusual, but also makes it easy. So we just have to line up our TDC mark, and I will go and enlist some help because I can't do this bit with one hand and film. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so we've got the distributor in. So we're on TDC. So now we need to rotate the distributor until we find the point at which the contacts open. A couple of ways you can do that. You can put electricity through them, 12 volts, whatever, and just measure when you get high resistance across them. Or for this demonstration, I use a diode tester on my multimeter. So what we're going to do, we're just going to put the diode meter across the contacts. We have continuity because the contacts are closed, and we want to turn the distributor until we just lose that continuity. Here goes. Okay, the points are just opening there, so that is what triggers the spark to travel down the high tension lead into the spark plug. So that will be firing on number 1 at TDC. Put the cap on and it looks like your little old vintage car. So that is setting the spark timing. Right, while we're talking about ignition in that area, might as well take a moment to talk about the coil. For those of you who are maybe of an age where you're not used to coils and mechanical distributors and such, and I'm talking about you, Henry, if you're watching this video, the spark's generated by the coil. So the coil is made up of an iron core and 2 sets of windings. It has a primary winding, which is actually a heavy wire, and there's about 400 turns of primary winding wire on a 12 volt coil and about 200 turns of primary winding on a 6 volt coil, roughly. On the inside of that is a secondary winding, which is a very fine winding. There's maybe 16,000 turns of wire, no thicker than a hair, and over 1 kilometre in length in an average 12 volt coil. So what happens when the distributor contacts are closed? Current will flow through the ignition circuit. It will go from the battery through the coil, at the other end of the coil, off to the distributor, through the points and off to earth. Fun fact, if you have an old car and you leave the ignition on for any length of time and the contacts are closed, you feel the coil and it will get very, very hot. That's because of the current flowing through it. When the cam in the distributor turns and the contact breakers open, that's the signal to generate a spark to send to the spark plug. So the breaker opens, it breaks that circuit, and the electromagnetic field that's around the primary winding collapses down towards the iron core and passes through the secondary winding, and that's what produces the electricity to head off down the spark plug lead to the spark plug. It's very high in voltage, very low in current, and that's all to do with the windings and Ohm's law and all those kinds of things that are long forgotten about. So a coil back in the day might produce 40,000 volts coming out of it. Enough to make your hair stand on end when you touch a spark plug lead, but it's probably not going to do any harm because the amperage is very, very low. So that generates the spark, or the electrical charge, which travels up from the distributor cap, up the spark plug lead, down to the spark plug, and bang, you've got a spark, your motor runs. So I know I showed you the distributor cap on the distributor that I just fitted. I've got a spare one, which is actually a new old stock one, which I built up a couple of weeks ago, put new leads on it, so that's ready to go. All I need, the other thing you can see in the back of the picture is a electronic ignition set, which I'm also going to put in it. To be honest, I wasn't sure how putting that on, if I'd be able to demonstrate how to set up the distributor properly, so I left the points in it for now because it's easier to show. But we might, when we get that in, I'll have a little play with it and see if I can do the same thing with the Hall effect. I don't know if I can or not yet, but if I can, it looks interesting, I'll make a little video on that too. Right, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Thank you for those who liked and new subscribers, very much appreciated. Till the next video, where this time it really is getting closer to going in the frame.